Morning, sir.
Morning. I was sitting in the public library of Sherman Street just now, skimming through Rogue Harriers by Horace Walpole, when I suddenly came over all peckish.
Peckish, sir.
Esurient.
Eh?
Yeah, what all only like.
Ah, hungry.
In a nutshell, so I thought to myself, a little fermented curd will do the trick. So I curtailed my wall-polling activities, sallied forth and infiltrated your place of purveyance to negotiate the vending of some cheesy comestibles.
Come again.
I want to buy some cheese.
Ah, I thought you were complaining about the music.
Oh, heaven forbid, I'm one who delights in all manifestations of the terpsichore muse.
Sorry?
I like a nice dance, you forced to.
Anyway, who said that?
Now, my good man, some cheese, please.
Yes, certainly, sir. What would you like?
Well, how about a little red Leicester?
I'm afraid we're fresh out of red Leicester, sir.
Never mind. How are you on Tilsit?
Never at the end of the week, sir. Always get it fresh first thing on Monday.
Tish. No matter. Well, 4 ounces of Caerphilly then, if you please, stout yeoman.
Ah, well, it's been on order for 2 weeks, sir. I was expecting it this morning.
Yes, it's not my day, is it? Bell pay, is it?
Sorry.
Red Windsor?
Normally, sir, yes. But today's a van broke down.
Stilton?
Sorry.
Gruyere, Emmental?
No.
Any Norwegian Jarlsberger?
No.
Liptar?
No.
Lancashire?
No.
White Stilton?
No.
Danish Blue?
No.
Double Gloucester?
Not much of a cheese shop, is
Cheshire?
it?
No.
Dorset Blue Vinny?
No.
Brie, Roquefort, Pont l'Evêque, Port Salut, Savoy, Saint-Paula, Carré de l'Est, Goursin, Brest Bleu, Cairn de Champagne, Camembert.
Ah, we do have some camembert.
You do. Excellent.
It's a bit runny.
It's a bit runny, sir.
Oh, I like it runny.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's very runny, sir.
No matter. Hand over la fromage de la belle France qui s'appelle Camembert, s'il vous plaît.
I think it's runnier than you like it, sir.
I don't care how excrementally runny it is. Hand over the speed.
Yes, sir. Oh!
What?
The
That's
cat's
it.
Pezzy.
She, sir.
Gouda?
No.
Edam?
No.
Caithness?
No.
Smoked Austrian?
No.
Sage Derby?
No, sir.
You do have some cheese, do you?
Oh, certainly, sir. It's a cheese shop, sir. We've got...
No, don't tell me. I'm keen to guess.
Fair enough.
Wensleydale.
Yes, sir.
Splendid. Well, I'll have some of that then,
That's
please.
my name.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were referring to me, Mr. Wensleydale.
Gorgonzola?
Yeah.
Parmesan? Mozzarella? Pippo trim?
It's
Any
certainly
Danish Finbo?
Uncontaminated by
Czechoslovakian
cheese.
cheese? Venezuelan beaver cheese?
Not today, sir, no.
Well, let's keep it simple. How about cheddar?
Well, I'm afraid we don't get much call for it round these parts, sir.
It's the single most popular cheese in the world.
Not round these parts, sir.
And pray, what is the most popular cheese round these parts?
Ilchester, sir.
I see.
Yes, sir, it's quite staggeringly popular in the Manor Spa.
Is it?
Yes, sir, it's our #1 seller.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Ilchester, eh?
Right.
Okay, I'm game. Have you got any? He asked, expecting the answer no.
I'll have a look, sir.
No.
No.
All right, that's enough. Enough of that comedy jokes. No, Ham's not joining. Ham had a call on Twitter with Giannis, and you can go to it. It's about 2 hours ago, and you can. It's taped. It's there, so you can listen to his call. But I mean, Ham's welcome to join, but he. Oh, I got to turn that off. No, there. You know, if you're here to hear Ham, you might as well go about your day. He may come on, if, like I say, if he wants to, he can, but it's not the purpose of this call. Finger right now is 292, 291, down 65 cents. That Viper that somebody talked about yesterday was up. Now it's down, but that's certainly interesting. Nixie is up 7 cents at 195, and I guess Railtown is up almost 3 cents to 36 cents. And then let me just look at gbux. I know you guys want to look at that. gbux is up 10 cents at 245, and I don't know. Let's see what GameStop's doing. GameStop is down $1.75 to 29. They did buy Bitcoin. That was exciting. Let's see DJT. DJT is down 50 cents. That's at $20.99. I have to be consistent here. I think buying $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin is probably not what you do with a media company. So I don't think it's a good thing for DJT. But we'll find out. And then I just want to look at, yeah, okay, no big lead. So the high on Railtown was 37.26, but the volume is not extraordinary, so that's interesting. Anyway, let's I'll look and see what your questions. Ham has another call at 2. Go over to Ham's call at 2. Please go over. Finger, I have to say, we can talk about Finger quickly or take as much time. But Finger's trading action is actually stronger than what might have happened. I know it doesn't feel that way with it down, but you've got 1.4 million shares volume, and somebody's buying. I mean, you could say, well, it's just short covering, perhaps, but when do you know them to cover? I think someone's buying, and the two things, I'm going to say 3 things out of the annual report. Maybe four comments. One is I didn't learn much in the management discussion, which is where you can usually, what's wrong with my diction? Where you can usually learn things. Secondly, they raised money at $2.50. So I thought the stock could go down to $2.50, and it did. I mean, it spiked there. I've known lots of big investors come in wanting a deal investment in a company, and they always ask for a discount. And it's been my experience that, of course, they never listen to me when I tell them, but if you come in at that price, the stock is going to go down to your price. So you feel like you're getting a discount, but you're pricing the stock lower and the market will take it lower. So I thought it would be at $2.50, but it isn't. It's essentially $3, and it's been very strong volume. So that could be the argument that there's things in the background still to come. It could be that. I suppose it could be short selling, but I don't think so. I think there's some serious bargain hunting maybe for the stock price. And then the third thing I noticed is they did raise money, but it wasn't a lot of money. So that gives me sort of a two-way decision tree. One is I can look at that as a negative, which is they didn't raise a lot of money, and therefore they don't really have a whole lot of new vehicles to assemble on a new contract. So revenue is just going to be, good profits, but it's going to be stretched out. Or it means they might have another financing they're working on. It's one of those two things. I'm hopeful there's more to come, because I think 2.5 million implies a company that, although probably solid, won't have a whole lot of growth this year without some other event that we don't know about yet. But anyway, that's why I'm hopeful there's more information. The other thing I noticed in the report is that full year earnings were minus 9 cents. And then you look at all the numbers, and they're all basically the same from the year before, which was, I think, minus 7 cents, except for expenses and one other thing. But I think I warned you on one call that they raised money in December, and that that would involve expenses. There's expenses associated with the raise. So it doesn't surprise me that the fourth quarter ended up not giving us a positive number, because they did that financing. And right now the company is, mainly supported by low margin revenue. I saw some comments that people sent me that their revenue really didn't go up. I forgot to look at their total revenue, but I assume it's essentially the same. I'd look now, but I can't. I've got everything tied up. So I don't think it was bad, but I don't, like I said to you beforehand, it's nothing that's, going to excite anybody either, which is okay. It's okay. It's all backward looking. Investment is about looking forward. But Finger, to me, is interesting that the volume has remained strong. So a lot of you have ideas of what's going on, and you may be right. It could be that people just want to own the stock. I think there's got to be more regarding this C2 contract. There just has to be, or there has to be something else attracting this investment. Or like I say, it could be the manipulation by the toad to get a financing done. But in any event, we just have to weather the storm today. You knew the shorts, whatever was announced, they would sell it off and drive it down. And the question becomes, how quickly does it recover? I don't know. It can take some time. If there's a surprise, anything can happen, but that's true of any stock. There's a lesson to learn here, which is when they're giving you free premium in the calls, like they were, it's felt free to me anyway. It's a good time to sell those calls and maybe bring in premium, sell covered calls, because now you can be buying them back for next to nothing and you book that profit. But I guess that's what I want to say about Finger. Ham, if he's on right now, go listen to him. Ham, I'm sure. I had to go to an eye appointment, follow up from my cataract surgery, and so I couldn't listen to his call earlier. And I didn't know he's coming on right now at 2. I didn't mean to interfere, but I thought I should come on since the annual report came out. I stopped listening to the Novak Djokovic match. He got a foot injury, a blister, so I hope he can still win. And I thought we could talk until the close. I don't mind. In fact, I encourage you to go listen to him. I'll be here after he's done, and you can come back. And okay. Will you please call into Ham's call for the group? Yeah, if I can find the number, I could try that. Sure. We probably missed some of it, but yeah, I can do that. Okay. I just got to find the number.
Welcome, and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate. Muted.
To buy the equipment and install it in these trucks or cars. Then it takes 3 months to get the money back. So with $5 million in the bank, they can only do 50 cars and they have to wait. That's when they get paid after 3 months. It's like every other business. You have to wait to get paid. Only their clients, the Chinese government. You know, these guys are doing the right thing. It takes time, and they're playing in a big game. The only thing that's hurting this company is Lynn Partners and the fraudulent naked short sellers. All right, these guys are criminals. They don't care about anything. They're stealing from the president's stock. I mean, just look what they're doing. All right? I'm not a believer in what GameStop is doing. I don't believe in buying crypto. These stocks are not hedge funds. They need to build out a business. Fingermotion is putting nothing but opportunities on the tape every day. They put the opportunity in Indonesia up the other day, and the stock went down $1.50 on getting a deal with the whole country of Indonesia. That is not normal, people. It has never been. I'm going to retweet Anna's trades, our little post, in which case she was very nice to put it all up there for everybody to see. And the attacks, every time the company had news, she has dates, everything on it. Let me see if I can pull it up here for 1 second. Give me a second. Finger post earnings history shows the pattern. Earning dip, then massive rally every time. June 8th, dropped to 209, ran to 6 within 10 days. October 17th, 24, dipped to 204, hit 12 3 weeks later. January 16th, 2025, closed at $1.20. It ran to what, 550 now? 560? It's the same pattern all the time. All right, so these guys continue to do the same thing all the time, trying to knock it down. There is no sellers. This is, the people that bailed are the fast money people that got shaken out or whatever it may be. The big players are not selling. There's no one selling. I was on the call before. I'm just going to hit it up. It was 1,091,000 shares when I was on the call. We're at 1,400,000 now. All right, so we traded 300,000 shares, going sideways and backwards around $3. They have to buy back 280 million. 3.3 million real shares that they're short and borrowed. We've traded 1.3. If they bought every share, they still have 292 million to buy. We have 282 million to buy. They've not bought anything back. A matter of fact, they pressed their bets trying to knock it down. The attack down is complete classic pattern that they always do. Nothing has changed right there. All right, we've been watching it for a long time. All right, so this pattern is still the same and nothing has changed. Again, people, I keep trying to tell you, just look at RGC. If you bought it at $3 and sold it at 30, it's now 800 and something, and no one knows about it. Everyone in Fingermotion knows what's going on. That'll make this stock 4 times higher than you see at RGC. The education will make the stock go higher. On top of that, these guys keep pushing it down below 3 and 4 for a reason, because they can't afford to let it go up. It's all common knowledge. We can all see it. We saw when we got to 5, how fast did they push it down? Everyone saw that. They got to 5, break it down as fast as they can. The company came out with great news. Let's knock it down. People, you have to believe in what you're seeing. I can't trade for you. I can only educate you on what I see. I went to every law enforcement agency in the United States. They all know about Lynn Partners. They all know about the naked shorting. All right? There was a big economist that was contacted by our friends, and he told them it's a massive problem. That was yesterday I got that information. It's a massive problem. We all know it. We all know it's everywhere. We're in the game of exposing these criminals and throwing their ass in jail and taking everything they ever had in RICO charges. That's what we're pushing for. Throw them in jail, 10 years minimum for being a counterfeiter. If they did more than one company, they deserve another 10 years. It's not just one. It's not one 10-year sentence covers one stock. Every stock they do, they get 10 years. This is serious stuff. This is life-changing stuff. The company is a real company. Just read the news, watch the videos. They're not taking the money and making believe they're doing shit. It's right there. All right? So again, you see the fundamentals. The attacks are the same pattern. This stock is going to turn, and it's going to turn up big. They're doing everything in their power to hold it down, and it doesn't make a difference. The game's over. It's going to rise. They can't keep paying the fees to borrow the stock. The fees are eating them alive. I think we did the math on it the other day. 1 million shares. I think it was costing them. I think it was almost $700,000 a month. So these guys only got 4 months left, if he's lucky. They're trying to get you to sell so they can cover. They need to cover that guy. He can't cover. He's down 2 points now. He was down 4 the other day. But it's 3.3 million shares. He added another 105,000. I may be off by 30,000 shares, I think. But that guy is dead. He's dead meat, and we all know about it. It's the stupidest trade ever. It's a fraudulent short attached to a naked short. I believe it's the same person. I'll call it Jeff Easton's mother. Because no one would ever do that. Any normal person would never do that transaction. Only someone that's close to a retarded son, Jeff Easton. All right? Because no one would do that trade. You can't make a penny and you could lose infinite. Think how stupid that is. This guy's short 3.3 million shares. The most he can make is 0. Given 3 months, the most he can make is 0. And the most he can lose is infinite. That's what we're dealing with. That's how stupid it's a complete fraudulent trade. And I explained that to every agency out there. That's a classic sign. I showed them every day on the close how they manipulate the stocks down. I showed him the charts. People, data doesn't lie. People do. And these guys are liars. They would steal from their own mothers, and I'm sure they have. All right. So again, look at RGC. Went from $3 to $8.24 today. $8.24. $824. Why? Did they have the cure for cancer? No. They caught a short seller. He can't deliver, and he has to cover, and he's being roasted alive. The Chinese short sellers, the Chinese longs there are souffleing this guy and roasting him alive. And they're laughing all the way to the bank. Ours is 10 times bigger than that. The short keeps holding it below 4, below 3, whatever. Hold it down, hold it down. The more they sell, the higher it's going to go. All right? It's like Pat Burno, he says. The minute they take their foot off the landmine, it's going to blow. Once they stop selling, think about the buying. The real short, the longs, and the naked short. All three buying, and there's no selling. That's what RGC is right now. I don't believe there's any longs buying the stock up there. I think it's shorts killing each other. That's what's going on in RGC right now. We're going to have longs front running it. We're going to have the real short trying to cover and the naked short. That's how powerful this move is going to be. And the same people that were front running GameStop, I'm sure, are going to come over here and come get a taste of a naked short in trouble, because that word spreads fast on the street. Once the buy-ins start, it'll be all over the street. Hold on a second, yeah. It tends to dip right after earnings, then they run up 7 to 21 days, she said, after that. 62 to 980, $1.19 to 797, 220 to 645, and $1.38 in 2020 to a peak of 17. That's thanks to Anna. She just put that up. Anna Trades. It's on Twitter. All right? It's right there. Go look at the history. It's the same patterns. The stock is going to turn, and it's going to rip. All right? The company did everything they're supposed to do. Let's wait for the company to say about their special dividend. Remember, a special dividend. Only longs get the dividend. Remember, Merrill Lynch is going to hit a button, or let's say Fidelity is going to hit a button and say, how many shares do we own? They're going to see, we own 30 million shares of stock. They're going to call the depository trust. How many physical shares do you have for me? The DTC is going to say, we got 1 million. That means they're short 29 million shares. They have to call the short sellers up to get them to deliver the stock. That's how it works. And that's the final frontier for the short sellers. Let them keep playing their games. Their end is coming. All right? The company knows it. We all know what's going on here. We all know the scam. And we're going to do whatever it takes. Remember, we tried to do crypto dividends. The SEC blocks you. We tried to do it with a Picasso. They blocked us. We tried to do it with the Shiba Inu coin. They blocked us. They can't block this dividend because it's a warrant. Exercisable. I don't know what the price is going to be exercisable at. That means you have to have a warrant. You buy it from as a case, exercisable at 3. You got 1,000 shares. You pay the company $3,000, and you get 1,000 shares at $3. If the stock's 10, you make 7,000 for nothing. It's a gift. But what it really does, it stops the music. There's musical chairs. When you stop the music, we need a real share count. Right now, this company's got 280 million, 283 million people that don't belong. And if anyone doesn't believe that that's how you do it, go look at Dole Foods, D-O-L-E. Dole Foods has too many shareholders. They expose it one way, through a dividend. They had 36 million shares. Who showed up? There were 14 million extra. Where did they come from? The CEO refused to pay them the dividend. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it works. Anyway, listen, everybody. I'll speak to you later. I'm going to go inside and watch it. I'm going to post some stuff up. Honor Trades did a great job. Thank you again. And Honor, I did reach out to some enforcement people, and I gave them your number, so hopefully they contact you. All right, everybody, thank you, and we're not going away. Thanks.
All right. So you got to hear at least, I don't know, a little more than half of his call. 293 last trade for Finger, 1.4 million volume. These, depending on your perspective, these kind of pullbacks allow you, I already told you one method is by selling calls. When a pullback comes, you can buy them back and book a profit. But now what do? Well, if you're so inclined, you can add to your position. I'd have to look at the chart, and I can do that maybe after I answer some questions, but it doesn't feel like it's going to go down. Or if it does, maybe it goes down. I don't know. That offering price was $250, but it was with 8 investors. So that should give confidence because they know what's going on. They're all probably insiders, and they're willing to put money up at $250. So that should probably be a reasonable downside target. Question is, does it go up? Right away? And you heard Ham's enthusiasm, and short squeezes come out of the blue. So I can't predict it one way or the other. I think I'll keep my comments brief on my point of view. I think the company should raise more money, or should have raised more money, or should be raising more money. And I'd be a lot more confident about how big and powerful the company will be. 2.5 million. What I don't know. I guess it gets them to the end of the year. But what it does to me is it means that first cycle of building out automobiles and SUVs and trucks, they're going to wait for that profit and then do another one. It's not as ramped up as I would have liked. But Ham just said there's 50 cars, which is a lot of cars. But I'd like to see him do 50 cars every quarter, not 50 cars every 6 months, Anyway, it's not my decision. The stock, though, is, to my eye, quite resilient today. Quite resilient. I don't know what it means. Gbux, it's not here. He mentioned Gbux just now, and it's 231, 244. He's exactly right. The dividend could be trouble for the criminals. But more importantly, if somehow they can get the deal done, that's trouble. But I think it's a tall task to get the deal done as it was printed. Changing it is okay too. It still could cause trouble for the shorts, but we'll just have to watch it. I guess the ex-dividend date is next Thursday, so there's not very much longer to wait to find out. Why aren't the consultants disclosed? I didn't want anybody to know my name. No, just kidding. I'm not in there. I don't know, the shares, there was a list of shares that I saw on Twitter, but I don't know if they have a responsibility to keep posting a list of shares. Sorry, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I'm sure it's all done legally. It was very thick, and I scrolled on my phone, so I'll look, Jennifer, and see if I can find who any consultants are. I'm not an accountant, and so I don't know the requirement. It may just be a line entry where you just say, this is what you paid for consultants, and you don't have to disclose it further. I don't know. I'll have to look into it because I don't have an answer. It looks sketchy if not disclosing. I don't know about that. Every stock you're in has consultants, and the smaller stocks, South Oracle, it's like, I don't know what, the only comparison I can think of, I'm not going to finish my thought, but they've changed all the rules, so there's no buying in stocks under $5. There's no trading desks. There's no research analysts. There's no research reports. There's no investment banking. So these little companies have to hire people to tell their story, whether it's on the internet, their friends at conferences, writing up on, various websites, having interviews. They get paid. You have to pay people for that. Just like Frank Benedetto got paid to tell you to switch to COSM. It's normal. He got paid for 2 or 3 other companies at the same time. That's his livelihood. I'm guessing that Lou got paid as well. It's normal. It's a normal I guess cost of business. But how do you tell your story when there's no brokerage firms, investment banks, research analysts? You don't even have, you used to have access. If you were a publicly traded company and you were doing well, you could have 50 brokers at Merrill Lynch decide to build a position, and then it spread, and it built its own momentum. You don't have that anymore. So I'm sorry. I think paying consultants is perfectly normal. It's perfectly acceptable, and I don't know the disclosure rules, so I don't want to opine on those because I'm sure companies have to follow whatever their attorneys tell them to do. So I don't think this is an area that you're going to find skullduggery. I really don't. But anyway, it's everybody's opinion. Everybody's welcome to their opinion. Where a lot of money is made, let's say a consultant like the group Skyline that does the interviews with Martin Shen. Let's say they get, I don't know, 25 grand for that interview. I'm making it up. I don't know. And then they get 25,000 shares for a year or 50,000 shares. any of that is possible. And is it valuable what the company's receiving in return? That's up to the company and the board. But your stock's not going to go up. You're not going to get new investors unless you spend that way. But compared to a group like White Diamond, who can sit down in Dorado Beach and turn on their computers and act like a wise ass, and he's so smart and he knows what to do, but he's just a thief. That's all he is, insider trading. But he can sell. You pay him, and how? And then he can sell. He can get an award of 500,000 shares. And then as your stock's starting to go up, he just sells and he calls in and he says, hey, if you don't make my trade good, I'm going to sue everybody in here. So he suddenly makes a bunch of money. That's how he lives. That's how he profits. And it's millions of dollars. And some of you were in a stock where he did that. You're going to make money in that stock. You are going to make money, I think. But he took millions out of the market, and he was given shares for being a trader. I'll come in and help, and then as soon as it starts to run, I'm gonna liquidate everything ahead of everybody else. And you better make good on those trades, or I'm going to tie the company up in lawsuits. Blackmail. And so you're going to try to examine in the disclosures you want, because you can figure this out, that somebody made, I don't know, $100,000 as a consultant, or somebody made 50,000 shares as a consultant. And you think you're going to find the thing that's what's wrong here. It's not. It's White Diamond as an example. Millions of dollars made. Not for good, not for helping the company, from screwing the company, conning the company. I'm not talking about Finger, but conning the company. Oh, I'll help you do this, and this. But they get away with it, and it's not disclosed. It's not in any filings. But you don't worry about that, because, well, he lives in Dorado Beach, and he must be a great guy. He's rich. But there's no disclosure on that. So I don't side with you on this. I do not side with you on this. And I don't know what disclosure requirements are, but I get shit from Cindy Lou who, oh, you're talking about a dead man. But if you don't think that Lou got paid, you're naive. It's okay with me. It doesn't bother me. Just to be clear, it doesn't bother me. Integrity is important to me. Honesty is important to me. Looking out for investors is important to me. But people get paid on Wall Street. That's what they do. The criminals, it's not disclosed. And I'm not calling Lou a criminal. I'm not saying that. But the criminals, it's not disclosed. So you think you're on to something. I don't think you're on to anything. I saw some posts where calling Finger a pump and dump. A pump and dump. Who the hell's dumping? Who's dumping? Who's dumping? Pump and dump. Those terms are made to just be simple words that anybody can understand. My opinion, White Diamond is a pump and dumper. My opinion, Lynn Partners, they're the pumpers with that Battlestar Galactica firm. What is it called? Benchmark. They're the pumpers. Hey, little CEO, come on in here. You want to feel good? we got girls, we got opium, we got music, we got scotch. Come on in, you'll feel good, 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 good. Donk, let's steal his money. Those are the pumpers. They pump the story to the CEO, get the CEO to sign up, and then the dumping begins. But you want to find, oh, there's a consultant. That's the problem. I don't see it your way, but look, I don't know. Disclosure, I'm all for full disclosure. I'm all for that. But disclosure rules, I guess, are for attorneys and for the SEC. My opinion, the SEC should be disclosing on every statement, on every confirmation, every time you open a website, every advertisement. They should disclose, we do not settle trades. And they should disclose, when you put your money up, you're buying an entitlement to a security, but your broker dealer can use your certificates as collateral for derivative trades and gambling in any manner they wish. They should put on there, if you buy through your brokerage firm and you pay cash and you get stock, that stock can be lent out 10 or 20 or 30 times without your knowledge, destroying the value of the company you invested in. They should disclose that. Nobody's disclosing the tens of millions and the hundreds of millions and the trillions of dollars that are stolen. And you want to say it's sketchy if they're not disclosing the consultants. Your mama's sketchy. So shorting is bad, but drawing in retail for an offering is okay. You know what? I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're real, but I don't want to get into a pedantic argument because your argument is pointless. Drawing in retail, luring retail. What the F do you think Wall Street's for? It used to be taught, and it's certainly what I was taught during Merrill Lynch training, that Wall Street provides capital in the United States for American companies. Wall Street is a mechanism to raise money from investors for companies. Now you call it drawing in. Just because I think you're a shill. So I'm going to leave it there. That's what Wall Street's about. Drawing in retail. Are you suggesting, South Oracle, that the best thing retail should do is just park their money in an ETF or give it to a mutual fund? That might be the case. That might be the case. Maybe what we should all be doing is giving BlackRock our money to get 8% and let Fink go out and do deals and start wars and slaughter people for profit around the world. At least we won't be drawn in then. But you're just trying to be provocative and misleading, frankly. And otherwise you're just really a stupid guy. And that wouldn't surprise me, that you have a brain that's slower than molasses. I'm sure my mother was attractive and lovely to men. today is her birthday. You don't have to tell me to stay clear of mamas. If you don't have a sense of humor, you can go somewhere else. And if you don't, I don't know you. You don't even give your name. So how do I know you if you even have a mother? Are you watching Finger? And ETF is really good, looking good. You know what? This is the last comment. I'm going to respond to you. Finger at $3 looks damn good to me, considering I didn't invest. I kind of wish I had, but for people that listened to me at $1.04, and of course I was saying it as it went up, but people that paid $1.05, they've got 3 times on their money in a few months. So yes, Finger looks good. Looks better than an ETF. Was that a recorded phone call? I don't know. I didn't record it. I mean, you can hear the portion that I played here by rewinding. You know, Scott, I didn't see that when it came out this morning. It came out early. I sent it to some friends, and a couple of the guys called me back, and so they were going through it as I was talking, and then I had to go for my eye appointment. So I haven't really read every paragraph and letter in the annual report, but it is my understanding that the dividend is a no-go. But Scott, I don't know. I'd have to read it, because my guess is what they're talking about is the S1 filing they made last year on the dividend. They withdrew that, and that would be in the annual report as something they need to disclose. So that dividend would be a no-go. But if they want to create a new dividend, let's say in, like I've always said, July or August, that would be a new dividend, even though it has the same terms. So if your point is that there will never be a dividend, I'm not sure that's right. I think I haven't read it. But I'm sure the wording is about canceling the last application for a dividend, which we already knew about. But that has to show up in the annual report. To the extent they want to start a new application with the SEC, that's a new dividend. So no, I don't think it means the dividend is not going to occur. I don't think that's what it means, but I'll try to read it before is tomorrow Friday? Yeah, before tomorrow. I'll try to read it so I have a better answer. Are you and Ham consultants for Finger? I'm not a consultant for Finger. But I've interviewed Martin, Shen, 3 times or 2 times. I've met with Martin. I've met with the senior investors. I went to New York. I talk about Finger all the time. I'm accused of being negative and a FUD, creating fear, uncertainty, and doubt in Finger, and then I'm accused of being a pump and dumper. But I'm not a consultant for Finger. But Jennifer, I've been I don't know if it's why it's your business, but I'll find a lawyer or an attorney, and I'll turn my accounts over to her for the last 4 years, and I'll disclose the stocks I bought, the losses I have. I mean, to date, it's all losses collectively, and people, you haven't, but many people here, other people, associates, deals I've worked on, trips I've made, companies I've gone to visit, from all different sources. I've been, over the last 4 years, I've received, money for a trip here, or money to pay a phone bill there, or somebody sends some cash, or so do you want to say that's in a role of a consultant? I don't know. I don't know if that's an accurate definition, but I've made a tiny bit off of YouTube, not very much. I would bet over the last 4 years on YouTube, I may have made $500 a year. Maybe 1 year it was $750 or $1,100, but I don't really make any money on YouTube. I'm sure it's because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to monetize. I don't know how to ask for subscribers and all that. But my being here, Jennifer, I am exposing myself to investors, to companies, to, I don't know if you want to call it, people who in some vague way I'm working with, or I'm what I do aligns with what they do. I don't know how to describe it, but I have made money doing this. Not a lot, but if you want to judge me for that, you can. I don't know. I don't know how much money you make. I don't know how you make your money. Last time I went to the SEC to do the movie, I think I lost 120 grand in that morning, that afternoon, in Fingermotion. Why? Because I wasn't sitting at my desk. I was out. I don't know what I accomplished, but it was urgent that I be there. So it's been I would say, Jennifer, that what I do here has cost me money so far, a lot of money, and I should be doing something else. But I do not have an arrangement with Fingermotion. Martin did pay. I'm just remembering when we went up to that hotel room to do the interview, Martin did pay for that hotel room. It was like $500, $600. He paid for it. I didn't pay for it, but it was to the hotel purser, not to me. I'd like to go to London and visit with, I don't know when he's in London. If it's in June, I probably can't do it, but maybe. I'd like to fly over and go to his conference. Is that being a consultant? I don't know. I don't know the terminology legally. Is walking like a duck being a duck? I don't know. There's plenty of women out there that put on whiskers and crawl along the ground and pretend they're a cat. Are they a cat? I would argue that over the last 4 years, I've spoken about Fingermotion enough, and because it's in an environment where I've received some benefits, they're not big, that you may be able to call that a consultant. I don't know. I don't know what the legal definition is, but I have no arrangement with Fingermotion. And I've never had an arrangement with Fingermotion. But I have over the years received sporadically. I've received cash, and not a lot, Jennifer. I take from your question that you feel maybe you've lost money in Finger now, and that I've been, as a consultant, talking up Finger. Well, I really don't think that's what I've done for the last year and a half, at least. I've gotten a lot of heat for being negative, for being critical of some things. And I've treated it much more like I'm calling it as I see it. But I don't have another income. So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I guess what I need to do, Jennifer, is get an attorney and an accountant and just give you full disclosure on my income and my losses for the last 4 years, so you can, I don't know why it helps you, but it's embarrassing to me. I'm not making any money doing this, but I guess it's disclosure. I don't know why. I don't have a fiduciary responsibility with anybody here. But the reason I would get a lawyer to do it is because it's a minefield out there. There's a lot of crooks out there, but that's what I'll do, Jennifer. I don't have the money now, but I'll hire an attorney and an accountant. I'll turn over my books, I don't have anything to hide. And I'm just remembering, I saw the other day, I don't know where it is. Anyway, I don't know if I've answered your question, but I've tried to. It's very confusing to all of us. We don't understand that side of the market. Okay, I'll try to explain it. Frank Benedetto, for example, was hired by COSM to get you to sell your shares, maybe, but to get you to put money into COSM. He was paid for that as a consultant. It may be disclosed, it may not. That was for COSM. He was also paid for that in 3 other companies. One of them I liked a lot, that one that does the plastic. But that's, for example, what Frank Benedetto does. He goes to a company, they hire him, they pay him 15 grand a month, probably, maybe 20 grand, maybe 25 grand. They give him a slug of stock, and then he gets on conference calls, space calls, and he gives that voice. He knows Tommy, he knows this, he's going to get, and that this is going to be a squeeze, and he gets paid. That's what he gets paid for. That's a consultant. That's a guy paid to bring in investors into a company. That's his role. It's called IR, investment relations. But there's also a side of it where investment relations is just sitting and answering the phone if anyone happens to call in, and answering the questions about the company. So, it can be anything on a continuum. A guy like me, when I moved to London after, it's not so much that I left the business, but I left that aspect of the business. So over the years, I've raised money for many companies, or I've put companies together with other companies, or I've put investors together with a project, or I've arranged for investors to buy shares directly from a company, or I've arranged for I've gone to the Middle East and pitched the company's story to many investors on a best efforts basis, regardless of results. Or I've brought a research analyst into a company, and just by doing that, I've been paid. What have I been paid? A lot of my time I pay my own way. I put people together. I pay for the trips, the dinners, the hotels. I pay for it myself, stupidly. But a lot of times I get that paid for just to show up. There was one company out of Tennessee. I brought an analyst with me. I showed up. They paid me 15,000 shares. They were worthless, but by the time I sold them, they had some value. Okay, all of that, everything I just described to you typically comes under a contract that says I'm a consultant. And I don't have any here to show you. But the company engages me, or my associate, or my company, and they'll say vaguely some service I'm providing. And as a consultant, I get, in this example I just told you, 15,000 shares. I've never received shares from Fingermotion, and I've never received money from Fingermotion. I've received cash and I don't know what to call it, expenses from people who support Fingermotion. So I don't know how to qualify that, but I have no contract. I have no formal arrangement. I'm not a consultant for Fingermotion. But that's how I understand consultant. Lou probably was a guy that occasionally got paid for things, but I'm not so sure he had a consulting arrangement. It might have been just a handshake. I don't know. He might have had a consulting arrangement with COSM, but I don't know. He's not here to say. I'm trying to think who else in your orbit. I mean, there's stories out there that just like I don't like repeating rumors, but I've seen people put things on Twitter regarding some people, but you'll have to talk to them directly. You can't ask me about them. You're asking me about him. You have to ask him. I don't know. But for me, I am not a consultant of Fingermotion. But I don't know, why does that matter to you? I don't like answering these questions clearly. So I think I'm going to have to get a full a method of just disclosing everything to you. Everybody that's handed me $50 when I'm in New York, anybody that paid for my Amtrak trip up there, anybody that bought me dinner, anyone that paid for my phone bill. I just have to get it for you. I can't do it quickly. I don't have the money to hire an accountant, but you know, that's something I can look into. I don't want to fully promise it because I don't know what the advice I will get, but I can promise I will go seek advice on how to do that. Then I don't have to hem and haw about how I'm answering you, because I guess you want me to talk to you as a priest would talk to you. Hey, come in. I've got all the time in the world. I have no agenda except to get your soul to God. And I have no relationships other than my oath to the Catholic Church. I guess that's what you're looking for. But Jennifer, everybody on Wall Street gets paid. Everybody. Everybody. And I'm probably stupid, and in fact, I'm resisting ending this call. If you're seeing some hesitation in my voice, because it kind of pisses me off. But I'm trying to understand why you're asking as well. But, you know, maybe I need to go to an accredited investor only model and charge a subscription and limit the people I'm speaking with. Maybe that's what I need to do. There are, you know, I subscribe to a lot of services, and sometimes at the bottom of those services, they will have this language that they let you know they're being paid by the company they're recommending. It happens. But there was one company who I just studied over the weekend, who has a list, which I intend to go through if they meet. If I like them, I intend to share them. But I subscribe to their service. And he's got about a half dozen mining companies that he's recommending. But right in the top, he says, you know, I forget how he said it. Essentially, I'm being paid to tell you about these companies. But he said, but I wouldn't be telling you about them unless I believed in the company. I need to come up with something like that. Early on, and I'm trying to remember the arrangement, but back 4 years ago, for a period of a handful of months, I received, I don't know, $2,000 a month. And I'm not sure the exact source of the money, but I disclosed it. I said it live. I think I was out on the patio, but I also, it didn't affect anything I said. It didn't last very long, but it helped me keep the lights on, helped me cover some of the costs. There was this computer I'm talking to you on right now. There was a company that I was asked to help raise money for in the oil and gas space, private company. And I worked it hard. He paid for one of my trips to Ohio. And I think I had another trip he paid for the hotel room, but I paid my own way up there, and flew in. And then one of my associates in London was helping, and I thought she should get something for the help she was doing, the introductions. So I called him and I asked him for some cash. He wired 20 grand to me. I bought my computers. I sent her about a third of what remained. And then I used the rest for myself. But that's a private company. I've never talked about it with you. In that case, it was, I didn't sign anything, but I think he put it down as marketing expense. But he's a private company. But that happens. That's how I get money. I get paid sometimes. Usually, which is stupid. It's why I've had a life of maybe sort of an electrocardiogram. But usually, once I moved to London and worked with my associates there, we would raise money and we'd pay our own way everywhere. We'd pay for everything. And then our investors would come in. And once our investor made their money back, plus a return, then we would get something. That was a pretty shitty model because I raised a lot of money and never got paid anything because the deals didn't work out. So, you think you're onto something with this, aha, I found out, a consultant, they're paid something. That's why we lost money. No, that's not why you lose money. You lose money because Fingermotion goes from 1 to 5 and you don't take any money off the table. I don't think I could have been any clearer. For the last 3 weeks, maybe a little longer, take some money off. But people don't hear it. And whether I was a consultant or not wouldn't change that advice. But anyway, I'm not a consultant for Finger, to answer your question. But it does set me off a bit because I think it's insulting and provocative that you ask, and I think it's unfair. I think, but on the other hand, you have a right to ask what you want to ask, and your money is up. But there's a guy here I'm reading, a very good book, and I hope we have a chance to make money in mining stocks. But he says something here. And he's got a whole strategy about how to make money, which I think is good, trading strategy. I can't find it. Darn it. But anyway, he says somewhere, when we can all work together. One of the gold analysts says that investing is a team sport. You do it as a team. You need help. You need input. You need to ask questions, that kind of thing. But he said, I can't find it. But then he said, but when you make the decision to buy, that's the lonely moment. It's your own decision. When you make the decision to not sell, that's your decision. And it's hard. It's just a truth. And I've lived through it. I've lived through it. And it's, you know, it's tough. I think the answer, Jennifer, for me in the future, I need to get an attorney. I don't have one right now. And I just need to put out any contract I ever sign. I got to let you know if somebody buys me dinner. That guy that used to run auto dealerships and he raised $40,000 from you guys to come down to DC. And he got his picture taken with a lot of the senators and congressmen. Forget his name right now. Don Fizz, something like that. He bought me dinner at Cafe Milano. I need to tell you about that. Does that make me a consultant? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. You know, I've gone to New York and people have paid for things for me. I've stayed at basically hotel-like accommodations for free. I don't know. I guess I got to give you a list of that. And then you can judge whether it's makes me a consultant or it creates a conflict of interest. I don't know. It's been on my list for a long time to do. I just haven't made enough money to go pay 10 grand to an attorney to do it. The other thing, I can just shut down the channel and not talk to people, which I've come close to many times. And I'm not against that. I have no problem with that. Jennifer, I have no problem not doing this again. I decided not to be a Frank Benedetto. I've been offered that before, where I could be on the website contact, and then I'd make 10, 15, 20, 25 grand a month and a bunch of stock options. And I got to come on conference calls and sound like a soothing source of information on the company. But I don't do that. Why don't I do that? Because I'd like to make my money. I'd like to set up a company. I don't know how to do it. I don't know the answer, actually. I've been looking into it. Maybe set up an ETF, set up a mutual fund, set up an investment advisory firm, set up an investment bank, set up a venture capital firm, set up a regional exchange. I don't know how to do it. But I would love to set up some sort of vehicle where companies would hire me and the team I have to raise money, to tell the story, to be there. And I'd love to do that. But that's what Wall Street is, Jennifer. Research paid for, trading paid for, IPOs paid for, placements paid for. Everything's paid for on Wall Street. There is nobody that pitches a stock to you or tells you a story that isn't being paid for that. Nowhere on Wall Street. I don't work at a brokerage firm, so I don't have an agenda. I don't have the off-the-shelf products to sell you. I don't represent Fingermotion. I have worked very closely with Ham on Finger. And early on, as you know, I put out my projections on what a short squeeze could do. I'm kind of embarrassed by those videos now. Not that I think I was very clear, this is what could happen in a squeeze, but I don't believe those squeezes, Jennifer, are likely anymore. And I'm certainly not. If I were being paid by Finger, they would be pissed off at maybe some of the caution and some of the cold water I've been throwing on the story. On the other hand, you know, I've said some positive things because I see it that way. I don't know, Jennifer. To me, this is I don't like gray areas, and there's a lot of YouTube channels out there. There's a lot of Twitter people out there. There's a lot of Reddit, a lot of people that give financial advice and they say it's not financial advice. It's all over the place. So I think it's a new medium. It's a new way of getting information to investors. It's what I used to do for a living. When I first started in the business, we were called account executives, and that was a step up from the previous names that were given, which used to be customers men. While I was at Merrill Lynch, some Harvard people came down and they started teaching us that we were consultants, that we were doing consultative selling. And they did this over a period of months, and they changed our name to financial consultants. And then as they were teaching us to be consultants rather than stockbrokers, they slowly morphed our job into advisors, wealth managers. And they changed the titles all along the way. And I do regret sometimes leaving, because a lot of my friends who stayed, not all of them, it's a tough business, but a lot of them make a perfectly wonderful living. But the thing I enjoyed about the job, you know, I had 1,000 clients, more than that. And I could talk to people, I could teach them, I could show, maybe here's an idea that, oh, this is where you are. Well, how about looking in? I really enjoyed all that. And I would do it from 6:30 a.m. to midnight every day. But it changed. They wanted you to what they called us, they told us we were asset gatherers. So they just wanted us to get on the phone and bring in assets, and then allocate the assets either to the in-house money managers or to what ETFs weren't invented then, but the similar kind of investments. They had closed-end funds and things like that. But the whole point was give the job of investing the money and making the ideas to somebody else, and you receive a trail for the rest of your life. You're like an insurance agent. You bring in the money, give it to somebody else to manage, and you have assistance, you have a title, and you just get a trail on how much money you had under management. I really, that part of it became very boring to me. Like I say, I regret it, because once you have enough assets, you're making a lot of money, just like insurance agents, you know. but most wealth advisors can't teach you anything. When you come in, they can say, let's go with Julian Roberts at the Tiger Funds, or how about if we do an allocation between bonds and stocks? You're 60 years old, so let's do 60% bonds, 40% stocks, and in the stock portfolio, let's give some of that money to the international. Let's go with the Clemente Global Fund, and then we'll do the American funds, blue chip, whatever the name is, and we'll allocate there. And each of these funds might pay something up front, but they also pay a trail. But the new arrangement at the brokerage firms is all of that assets gathered, I would get a trail on. It's astonishing how much. They would charge a 3% wrap fee, and originally it was designed 1% for the house, 1 point for the house, 1 point for me, and 1 point for the manager. And I looked at that and I said, I don't know how people are going to make money. They have to bring their money in, and they're paying 3%. And if the stock market's only doing 7%, how do they make money? I was wrong. The stock market went on a 15-year, 20-year bull market where those fees not only could be afforded, you might even argue it was worth it, because a lot of those accounts did terrifically. But I think it's a bad deal, a horrible deal. And most of the wealth advisors don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I've noticed, Jennifer, as I've gone live, that a lot of what I used to do, I'm doing now. And I try to be honest about it. I try to give legitimate ideas. But there is no question, and I've said this before, the reason I turned on this computer outside of the last place I lived is because I had gotten to know Ham through a friend of mine. I had been up to New York. I'd listened in on his calls, and it got to the point where it felt like there were 12 people on the call. I had tried to do everything I could do up here. I don't know if I had yet walked the halls of Congress. But I decided, let me see if I can do something to fight the fudsters, to try to bring, for some reason, the desire to do a good thing. Let's see if I can do that. And that's what I did. That's all my goal was. I was nervous. I didn't think I'd make any money, and I haven't. I haven't made any money on the lives. I mean, people have been generous. If I gave you a list of people who gave me money, the Gronk here has given me probably $1,000. It's Cindy and the I'm not sure the name I'm remembering is correct, so I'll anyway, the owners of Gronk doing it. But so I know there's a business here. If I could design it properly, I could make a living doing this. But so far, my trajectory, Jennifer, was like an idiot. I came in thinking that I could help in this fight, and I could help people not so much make money, but make decisions without fear, uncertainty, and doubt from the shills. And I thought Finger was an excellent choice. I built a position of about 35,000 shares of Finger, and I think I got it as high as 50,000 before I came on. Does that make my advice self-serving? I don't know. Or does it mean that I understood what everybody's going through? I don't know. I never disclosed it because I didn't want people to think I was some sort of big shot. But over time, I lost that position. And but what I initially found was that the stock, I forget what my average price was. I bought a lot of that stock under $1, but I paid more than $1 too. But I got a good price on it. And it worked. And then I heard about GTII, and I bought shares of that. I sold some Finger to buy GTII, and I forget. I don't think I paid more initially. I don't think I paid more than 80 or 90 cents for GTII. But then as it started to run, I think I bought more. I chased it like any rookie would do. But I really thought, wow, these are some ideas that are working. But my fight also, I don't know how long you've listened to me, nervous, scared. I went and stood in front of the old NASDAQ building, which is where FINRA was. I stood in front of the lawyers' offices. I went down and stood in front of the SEC by myself and did what I could do, thinking I'm helping. I don't know. What was motivating me? I don't know. No one was paying me. I didn't even know anybody at Finger. I've since gotten to know people at Finger, and I've enjoyed meeting a lot of people here, and a lot of it's my interest. And I tell you, there's a lot of people here I'd like to work with. So maybe I can turn all this, my point is I can turn all of this into a way of making money. So maybe that's my motivation. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure out my motivation or other people's motivations. I've found this both rewarding and frustrating, but it has not been remunerative at all. I don't know what else I can say. It turns out that the initial runs in GTII and Finger gave back, and then they ran again. I think both were squeezing, and then that gave that back. And I turned very cautious, particularly on GTII, but people didn't pick up on it. So I've been more blunt, but I lost a lot of money. And then Finger, it was like replaying again here. And I guess your point is, are you paid by Finger to pump and dump the stock? And my answer is no. You can pretend that it's out of confusion, that you don't understand how it works, but that's what you're asking me, and that's what pisses me off. If you think I've been here paid to pump and dump, I find it insulting. There, I said it. But I do think I would be more comfortable if there were a mechanism, and I don't know how to set that mechanism up. And you think it's easy. I know, because, and I do, because, you know, it should be easy. But I'm old enough to know that lawyers and people can screw up your life. So you have to do it the right way. I got sued by a guy out of Texas. I was introduced to this gentleman through an associate from Merrill Lynch, who, I don't know, he turned out to be interesting, integrity. So I paid my way down to Texas to meet this guy. Oh, this guy's great. When he walks in the room, the women love him and the oil men love him, and he's the best. So I flew down. I flew down 2 or 3 times on my own dime. Nobody paid. And this guy sent me a Bible with my name engraved in it, which should have been my first warning sign. And then, but I got excited about the project he was showing me. It was the Eagleford. And this is before anybody was in the Eagleford, at least in the investing world. I'm sure there were oil men that knew all about it. And it really excited me, and it got my interest up. So I came back here. I was talking to friends about it. I spoke to investors. And then one young man, you know, after I don't know, an art show or something, he gave me a ride home, and he's a wealthy guy. He said, you know, I heard about that deal, and I'd like to be an investor. And he wrote me a check for 10 million or something, 13 million, 7.5 million. I said, I can't do it this way. That's not how it's done. There's paperwork and there's all that. But he said, well, I'd really, before it sells out, I'd like to get in on that deal. So he gave me the check, and I set up a meeting down in, I think it was, I think it was the Dallas office of I stayed at the Zaza Hotel. I think it was Dallas, but it might have been Houston. But the properties were east, and so we drove out there and all that. And I paid my own way again. I paid for everything. And I'm sure people picked up my dinners or whatever. But anyway, I won't bore you with all the events that went through. It went on for a bit. They flew up here. I flew down, brought the investor down, did all that. We went through all of it. And at the end of the day, this guy flaked out. We'll leave it at that. And without my knowledge, he signed the subscription agreement. I didn't know that when these guys flew up, but he never paid for it. He never wired any money. And I started getting a sense that I'd been led down the primrose path. It was very expensive for me. But that's my life. That's my business. And occasionally I get paid something back, and it's written down as a consultant fee. But is that some evil, devious thing? I don't think so. But in this case, all of a sudden, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months later, I received a FedEx package, and I was being sued. Ken Lewis of Bank of America, some other person, and myself were being sued because this kid, well, he's not a kid. He's, you know, he's younger than I am. But, and he got sued too. And I forget the amount. It was a huge amount in the lawsuit. And I opened it up and said, what the hell? I didn't do anything wrong. But you know what? I had to fly down to Dallas. I had to go sit in bloody some sort of arbitration crap. I had to hire an attorney. It was a nightmare. All because someone decided to include me in a suit because this person had signed a document and not paid for it. He just wanted commission. This guy wanted commission. And I'm telling you, Jennifer, that those kind of experiences make me nervous to do anything that lawyers could come back at me. But I think maybe I should shut down. I think I will. I'll go to 4 o'clock tonight, and I think I'll shut down my lives until I can pay for an attorney so I can put at the bottom of my streams, this is not financial advice. I have occasionally received payments from various different people and make a list of it. And I think that's what I'm going to do, Jennifer. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what would make me comfortable. So I'm going to go till 4 o'clock. And I think I'll go off air until I can find an attorney to disclose everything. I mean, from $5 to $1,000, I'll disclose everything. I'll disclose my trades. I'll disclose my losses. I'll disclose how I lost my house. I'll disclose everything. And then you can feel like you've done your due diligence and you've sussed it out. I think it's insane. I actually think it's insane. None of you should be investors. If you think the source of your losses is consultants, you shouldn't be investors. But I'll keep that to myself. Let's go to the prices. Railtown. I'm not a consultant on Railtown. Last Monday, I told everyone 22 cents. Are you crazy? You should be buying. I'd love to find out how many people own shares of Railtown here. I'd love to know that because I brought it to people's attention. Maybe there's 1 million shares of Railtown out there. Jennifer, I'm not a consultant for Railtown. I haven't received jack shit from Railtown. I will not receive anything if all these people, let's say there's 1 million shares out there on these calls because I brought it up. Let's say it goes to $3.50. There'll be $3.5 million out there. Let's say once it's there, that the news looks like it should be a $10 stock, there'll be $10 million out there. And Jennifer, I don't receive anything. Nothing. Not a zip. And you guys, Jennifer, all of you want to focus on Finger. I don't think the story's finished with Finger, by the way. But if you've listened to me over the last 1.5 to 2 years, you're not hearing exactly the same thing from me that you're hearing from him. But I'm not speaking ill of him. He just has a different perspective than I do. I don't know who's been right over the last year and a half. I'll leave that for you to discuss, to decide. But this recent run up in finger, Jennifer, I don't think I could have been any more clear. I wasn't enthusiastic about finger for the last year. And then around January, I started, well, this is looking good now. Chart's looking good. This might be a good time to get in. My memory is it was $1.04. Of course, I said it on the way up. And I've been very positive on finger as a what? As a double or a triple, with the possibility that it could go to 4, 5, 6, or 7. I was wrong about the 6 or 7, but I wasn't really sure about the 5, but it went there. That's what I said, January, February, and March. And then when it ran up, I came on here and I said, why don't you sell some? Why don't you sell some calls? Oh, there he is. He's being a fudster. He's being negative. He's being a bad guy. He just doesn't want us to make money in finger, people said. I said, guys, the dividend's going to be delayed. It's not going to do jack shit anyway, but it's going to be delayed. Who was right about that? I said, guys, they have to raise money. Who was right about that? I said, guys, I don't think it's going to squeeze because they have it under control. Who was right about that? I said, in the short run, I said, guys, you got to wait for the annual report, the audit. Who was right about that? I don't know, Jennifer. But the issue is whether or not I'm a consultant. I'm not, but it still pisses me off. That's the issue you can come up with. I don't know. I really don't think I should be doing this anymore. The fact that anybody has given me money to be here makes me feel like I've got to have a methodology to disclose it. I've verbalized it. I think some people, it's out in the open. They donate to me. But you make me very uncomfortable, Jennifer, that I need to come up with a method to disclose. And it makes me feel vulnerable. And so I think I don't want, like I did the other night, to make a statement that's final. But I really think, I don't have an attorney right now. I don't have the effing money to hire a effing attorney. And you're asking me if I'm a consultant? But anyway, I'm sorry I got upset. I really, you make me feel vulnerable. And I think I don't know who I can ask. And probably if I ask an attorney, they're going to say, are you out of your mind? Don't talk to these idiots. They wouldn't use that word, but these people that don't know what they're doing. Do you know how much risk that is? I mean, I have no assets, so that's a good thing. There's nothing to take. But you make me feel very vulnerable. Because while it's not much, it's not nothing that over the last 3-4 years in different sources and methods and sporadically that have come in. And I think, Jennifer, I need to disclose it. And I don't know how to do it. And I really feel like after your questions, others have asked before, that's the next step I have. I've got to stop. I think I've got to stop doing the calls. The answer to your question is I'm not a consultant to Finger, but my opinion of that question, you have a right to answer it. But if that's your perception, that I'm out here pumping and dumping Finger, I've wasted my time. And that somehow I'm being paid to cause you to lose money, I've wasted my time. But I'm also putting myself at risk. I'm not comfortable with putting myself at risk. So it's 3:49. My urge is to shut down right now. I'm trying to fight that because I think I owe people some talking about other things, Jennifer. But if all of my efforts can be summarized by, are you a consultant for Finger? I'm just doing, I'm wasting my life. I've got to design it differently. I think maybe what I need to do is withdraw from these lives and start a subscription service, maybe a newsletter, maybe write a book. I don't know. I was hoping, Jennifer, that GTII and Finger would work and Vocal would work, whatever that meant for people. I really was hoping 2 years, 3 years ago, to start guiding people and myself into the precious metals, oil and gas, into good investments that could help people make a lot of money. Well, it turned out that the criminals had a very strong fight, and those deals didn't work out. Along the way, I started learning a lot of things. And I just learned 4 weeks ago, that what the criminals do, in one sense, is legal. What the brokerage firms do is legal. What the criminals do from Cayman Islands and Toronto is illegal. And Burroughs Park and Boca Raton, that stuff's illegal. But what your brokerage firms do, because of Bill Clinton, it's legal. Well, I have to start adjusting my thinking of how we can fight it then. But I still have the goal, Jennifer, to show people that this life we're living is about to be tested to the extreme. This market you're in, this fantasy land of space calls, the fantasy of somehow we can fight the system, although we can, and sometimes it works, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. The whole backdrop that we're doing this under is about to disappear. The American empire is about to be completely changed. The wealth that we take for granted, the 30% of the world's resources we consume with 5% of the population, is about to change forever. The seigniorage we have so that we can run deficits and print money and buy shit from China and oil from Saudi Arabia and wine from France and cheese from Switzerland, just by writing money, it's all about to change. I'd love to fulfill a mission where I could help people survive that. But Jennifer, there's no question I came to this via an effort on my part to stand initially with Ham, to stand against a wrong I saw. And that was Finger, that was GTII, that was CRTD. And then, because of my oil and gas background, right in the last day or two of trading, because another friend of mine told me about MMTLP when it was 80 cents and kept telling me I should be buying into it, and I kept saying no. But then in that last week, I bought 4,300, almost 4,300 shares at $8. I got in the MMTLP fight. I've met great people. But Jennifer, I have received money from different places. I don't know how to summarize it to you in this question that you have. So I think I have to stop. I think I have to figure out how to disclose everything to you. I don't know how to do that. I need time to think about who I can ask for that help. But I think it's idiotic. The shills get you asking, well, are they being paid? As if the shills aren't being paid. Let me address what I've seen on Twitter. I'm not going to address it directly, but I'm sure you may have seen it. But without Ham's work, in my opinion, Fingermotion would be another MULN. It'd be another MMAT. It would be another HPIL. It'd be another VNUE. Pick the company. It'd be another one of those without the work that Ham has done. I personally, if I were the board and the CEO of Fingermotion, and they pay other consultants that I don't even know, I've never met. But I do that, as long as it's honest. That's the problem. That you got to follow rules, and so you can't hire if you're a CEO, you can't hire a hitman to go kill another CEO. You got to do it within the rules. But I personally think if they're just hypothetically, I'm not going to finish all my thoughts. I'm just going to say, without Ham's hard work, Fingermotion would be pennies today. Damn it. Why do I come on here and I'm excited to be in this? I think I just need to I don't know, Jennifer. I've talked to attorneys. They're so expensive and they're so oblong, and they kill deals. They kill everything. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that. But I guess that's what I have to do. I have to find somebody. And I'm in the hole by doing this, Jennifer. So how do I disclose it? Do I disclose the bits and dribs and drabs and sporadic things here and there and not show all the money I lost? Or do I show the money I've lost? And I don't know. And does it somehow help you? I guess it does. You've gotten to the bottom of it, whatever it is. I'm so drained right now. I walked back here to go live. I still think Finger behaved pretty well today, considering the market's closing, and I have to answer whether or not I'm a consultant. Your real question is, do I have a conflict of interest? Fair enough. Am I being paid to pump? I guess that's fair enough. And am I part of some scheme to defraud you? That's your question. That's why you asked that question. You can pretend it's not, but that's why you asked that question. And I'm not part of a scheme to defraud you. I'm not here to pump up stocks. But I think without disclosure, I'm vulnerable. I think that's what you've pointed out to me, Jennifer. And you can pretend it's because you don't understand. That's not why you asked that. That is not why you asked that. So I guess I'll let you guys handle Nixie on your own. I guess I'll let you handle Railtown on your own. I think on Nixie you can get a lot of information on Twitter, kind of what's going on as it goes from Chris Lacoisier. Railtown, that's a little more difficult. I don't know where to send you for information. The woman who's the IR person, she's paid, by the way, Jennifer. She's a consultant. She receives shares and money. Her name is Rebecca Kurzweil for Railtown. Yeah, I think you can get a lot of advice there from her. Finger, I think you know where to get your information. gbux, that's tough too. I don't know who to tell you. I think you know. I think Ham can give you the information there. I want to focus. I personally think we're running out of time for all of this. I think the stock market is going to have this blow-off rally to all-time highs, and then it's going to crash, and then there's going to be an attempt by the Fed to rescue it, which might have some traction. And then we're going to go into a decade or longer of a convulsion in the United States of America, probably a depression, probably a re-looking at our role in the world, but certainly we're going to reshore everything. It's going to mean we're going to go into building bridges and rail and factories and power lines and power plants. We are going to need commodities. We're going to need oil and gas, and we're going to need honest markets after they crash. I think it's going to be a lot of fun in the profitable sense of the word to start taking the lessons we've learned here and apply it there. But I really thought, Jennifer, that I had built up a little bit more I don't know. I just thought people knew who I was, and I guess they don't. I really have to examine my relationships. There's a lot of informal relationships and understanding and all that. And you're too smart, Jennifer, for me to believe that you're just confused. That's why you're asking. So I think I have to, damn it, I can't do something informal. I have to formalize this. And that means I have to spend money that I don't have just to do what I've been doing, because I am not an attorney. I don't know how to disclose. When you make blanket statements, you have to do it with the help of an attorney, because you can't, there's no way that I can cover all the risks. And I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I just, that's, my gut is telling me that's what I have to do. I can't do this anymore. And I've just wasted an hour and a half trying to explain myself. But my gut is telling me, Jennifer, that if I had received zero from all sources over the last 4 years, I could probably, maybe, but even then, Jennifer, you'd be asking, what's your relationship? Why did you say that? Why did you focus on Finger? Once you start, and once I sense the risk and my gut is telling me, I got to address it. So I'm not going to sign off right now, because maybe by going and talking about a few other things, I can start thinking differently. But I think, Jennifer, what I'm going to have to do, I will answer your question. I am not a consultant of Fingermotion, but there's just too much risk. It's too much risk for me to continue to take this risk. You have alerted me to that. And there's plenty of places you can go listen. There's Space Calls with Drew Diligence and others. There's tweets. There's conference calls you can tune in. This is way too dangerous for me. For me to think that I'm building a community and that they understand who I am and I'm getting to know who they are, and then to get, it's way too dangerous. And it shows just, I'm used to dealing with accredited investors. I'm not used to dealing with people that don't know the basics. I try to treat both the same, but you can't treat both the same. there's risks. And particularly since you're a woman, you don't see it that way. I do. Women can accuse men of anything, and it's risky. And then in court, it's all risk, Jennifer. I just don't feel comfortable. And it's because I have received over the last 4 years, I don't know how much, it's not a lot. If you asked me to get on a flight to meet you, I couldn't pay for it. I just went and had an eye exam. I couldn't pay for it. I had to borrow money after my cataract. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to sign off. I'm not going to do any more lives until I find an attorney to show me how to disclose, what I need to disclose, what I need to say. If I talk about a stock, do I have to tell people I'm not a consultant? And then if I don't say it about another stock, I am one. God, what a nightmare this is. I've probably talked about 24 stocks. And the question is going to be, am I a consultant for any of them? Or all of them? This is going to be expensive. I don't have 50 grand to give to an attorney. Damn it. It's just the facts of life. It's just the world we live in. There's so much legal risk. So much legal risk. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Can I talk about Railtown? Or I mean, somebody asked me, where'd you get the idea? Oh God, you know what? I can't do it, Jennifer. I can't do this anymore. There's no way I can do this. It's a shame. I've enjoyed doing it. Even when I've gotten upset, I've enjoyed doing it. And it gives me a challenge. It gives me something to try to give an outlet to help people. But Jennifer, the implications, I know you know what you're doing. You're just way too smart. It just implies a threat. And I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm not saying you're wrong to do it. But it's a massive threat because I don't have an attorney. Every I don't know. I don't have many of them here in front of me, but every service I subscribe to, you know what? They only deal with accredited investors or people who they think they are. They only deal with people who know what they're doing. But they also have these little bits of disclosure, and I need to come up with a disclosure. Like this, Paradigm Press. This is in the disclosure. I was going to go over this with people today. Instead of it, I've gone down this Paradigm Press. Of course, they have to get a massive legal budget for this. This newsletter may only be used pursuant to the subscription agreement. This allows the editors of publications to recommend securities that they own themselves. However, Our policy prohibits editors from exiting a personal trade while the recommendation to subscribers is open. In no circumstance may an editor sell a security before our subscribers have a fair opportunity to exit. The length of time an editor must wait after subscribers have been advised to exit a play depends on the type of publications. All other employees and agents must wait 24 hours after online publication prior to the following an initial recommendation. All other Paradigm Press employees and agents must wait 24 hours prior to a recommendation. The information contained herein has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable. The accuracy of this information cannot be guaranteed. Signed articles represent the opinions of the authors and not necessarily those of the editors. Neither the publisher nor the editor is a registered investment advisor. Readers should carefully review investment prospectuses and should consult investment counsel before investing. I need something like that, Jennifer. You know how much that will cost? That'll cost me at least 20 grand to get just that. That's what I need to do. It's too risky. It's way too risky. That's what I need to do, Jennifer. Darn it. Well, I'll just have to find something else to do. Maybe I'll start a subscription service or a Substack or something where it's understood. I thought in a lot of ways I was helping people, but I can see, Jennifer, that if people lose money, there's going to be people asking questions as a prelude to lawsuits or whatever they have on their mind. Damn it. I really wanted people to make money in Railtown and in Nixie. I'd love to see people build their positions in Finger if they want, make money there. I'd love to see people maybe, although I think it's highly risky, make money in other stories. I'd like to help people make money in silver and gold, but it's just way too risky, Jennifer. You can't do it out of goodwill. You can't. No one believes that you do anything out of goodwill. No one. On the other hand, I'm not Sister Mother Teresa. Maybe I should be. Go live in a monastery. All right, so what do I do right now? I think what I'm gonna do is finish out this call. I've spent about an hour and a half reacting to Jennifer's questions and doing thinking out loud. And my gut is telling me I can't do these calls anymore without a disclosure, which in my experience, to get an attorney to draw one up, it'll be at least 10 grand retainer, maybe 15. And by the time she's done, it'll be 25, 30 grand, and probably pushing 50 grand just to get something like this. And I'll be told, don't do it. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I don't know how to move forward. Maybe I have to do a subscription service and get people to click a button that they acknowledge that it's not financial advice, and I don't know. I don't know how to do it. This is how the other side wins, Jennifer. They don't have any rules they have to follow. And they have the attorneys. They can afford the 50 grand for an attorney. You and others think the system still works. You wish it still did. I do too. So you figure, I don't know how your mind works. You understand what the criminals do, but then something in your mind tells you that the real problem is the so-called pump and dumper. I'm not a pump and dumper, but that's the implication. Well, if you're a consultant, you're pumping the stock so it can be dumped. You end up doing the work of the other side, and I know you're not on the other side, but the one thing I've tried to show more than anything, particularly in money, I'm not as good at it in love, but in money, you just got to look at the cold, hard truth. You just got to look at the cold, hard truth. If you're investing to try to make returns, each day you've got to accept what happened. What's today? Cold, hard truth. And as I've learned things, I've tried to share all that. And I'm telling you the cold, hard truth of your question, I'm taking too much risk. I am taking way too much risk. I'd like to rebuild my net worth, but I don't want it taken away from me. And the fact is, if you guys make money, you're probably going to be happy. But if you lose money, the question will be, are you a consultant of... It's too much risk. But anyway, all right, I've made my point clear. It's been 2 hours of answering that question. I'm going to just quickly try to talk about a few things that I wanted to talk about. This gentleman, his name is Jeff Clark. He's got 5 commandments for trading mining stocks, but I think it applies to these shares that we're doing. And I thought, as I walked back home, I would go over this with you. So I'm going to try to talk myself down from my trepidation. I have great trepidation getting that question from you, Jennifer. Okay, so He talks about how Warren Buffett, when he buys a stock, he tries to buy it at a cheap price. He never chases a valuation, and he's made a decision to buy it, and he holds it long term. For example, in 1988, he bought into Coca-Cola at a good price, and then he's held it for almost 30 years. So he takes that and he says, when you and I are buying mining shares, which are speculative, much like the shares we've been trading, he says, one thing you have to do, you have to be like Warren Buffett in that you don't chase stocks. You don't chase the price. You wait till it comes to the price you're willing to pay. And he has different ways, and I guess I got to get an attorney first. Oh, God. I'm going to think about that tomorrow. I'm going to try to get that out of my head. I just don't know how to surmount that. I think it's a deal killer, Jennifer. I cannot afford an attorney. I think it's a deal killer. It's okay. It's okay. But anyway, so he says, you shouldn't chase a stock like we sometimes do. You buy it at the right, nice price. That's one thing Warren Buffett does. But the second thing is we can't hold stocks forever like Warren Buffett. We cannot be like Warren Buffett. So he goes with the 5 commandments of trading mining stocks. I think it applies here to these stocks. One is you can't just buy one. You got to have more than one, because one stock can blow up. Like if you had everything in GTII or in COSM or in, you can't buy just one. You need to have more than one. You have to, he calls it diversified. I think when you're trading speculative positions, diversified is the wrong word, because collectively they're all the same kind of stock. Anyway, he thinks you can do it based on what is attractive. Don't buy just to be in the game. I agree with that. But maybe you can't follow more than a dozen at a time. That makes sense too. All right, so then the second commandment is for mining. It doesn't really apply for us here, but buy only the best. And best is a lot of definitional, whether you're in a producer, an explorer project, locator. But anyway, you want to be laser focused on only the most compelling opportunities. You can't dance with all the girls. And I've tried to make that over the last weeks. I've tried to get, and even yesterday I remember doing it, trying to get people to focus a little bit where I saw some compelling opportunities. All right, commandment number 3, no chasing, no chasing. No fear of missing out. Buy in tranches, only use limit orders, and sometimes put orders in under the market. But his overall point is stocks always come back after they run. They come back. And then he talks about volatility, which we should enjoy. But if you completely miss a stock which you wanted to be in, that happens sometimes. But resist the temptation to chase it. chasing stocks rarely works out. There will be another opportunity, particularly in the mining space, but I think in all of the market. Anyway, his commandment number 4, date, don't marry. We've talked about that before. It's pretty self-explanatory. I like this sentence that he gives. The decision on how long you hold a particular stock is this. Stay invested as long as the reason you bought it is still in play. Sell it if that reason is not still relevant. And then commandment number 5, this is the hardest thing. Always take profits. Always take profits. This guy, Keith Neumeyer, says, selling, because this is the rule of thumb, sell half when you double your money. So Keith Neumeyer says selling half at 100% gain is fine, but you got to have a game plan. What he does, Keith Neumeyer, I have a strict rule. When I see a 300% gain, I automatically sell 25% of my position. And then I sell half at 500%. If the momentum stops, I may sell another tranche and rotate that capital. The point is, take money off the table. It's so hard to do. And there's no perfect answer. Oh, here's what Mike Maloney said. He said that investing is a team sport. And Jeff Clark says, I both agree and disagree. I disagree in the sense that when it comes to that lonely moment, when you either hit the buy button or you don't, it's your decision and it's yours alone. But I agree in the sense that building up to that moment, you should seek out all the help you can get to make a decision. Even analysts who follow the industry for a living compare notes and read each other's reports. That's probably what I need to do, is just start writing. It's not my strength, writing reports and just being unavailable. Anyway, that I wanted to go over with you. I made a short list. I guess we talked about Finger. I can't find my list. Anyway, I can't find my list. I misplaced it. So we talked about Finger. Finger is at $3. I'll just go back over it. Number one, I'm not a consultant for Fingermotion. I never have been, and I never will be, as far as I know. I can't imagine a situation where I'll be a consultant for Fingermotion. So I think we've made that clear. I know it's confusing. We're just investors. We don't understand these things. BS. Today, Fingermotion traded almost 1.6 million shares. The stock closed at $2.96, but right now is trading at $3. This morning, they put out their annual report before the market, and in it disclosed that they raised money at $2.50. The good aspect, I didn't see any warrants. There might have been. I didn't see them. But it certainly was done away from the criminals on Wall Street. It was done with a handful of investors. So there's no short selling campaign and manipulation associated with that $2.5 million raise. And that's a very positive thing. I thought the stock would trade down to $2.50, and I guess it certainly still could. But I think that it did hit 250. But I think the fact that volumes is in, and today it closed around 3, it's a pretty good indication that the market dealt with that offering pretty well, at least for now. That offering did not have, wait, remember Roth Capital did the offering at $1.50? They had warrants. Then they shorted the shit out of it. The Toad did. And they got it, they tried to get it under $1 to cause a reverse split. That's not going to happen here with that specific offering. If there's another offering, we'll take that as it comes. So anyway, I take that as a positive. I like how it closed. I take that as a positive. The volume really impresses me. Whatever I think or say, or anybody else does, for the last weeks, the volume in Finger has been like a bulldozer, and I don't think it's us. It's somebody, and that impresses me. That's a positive. I think the price here at $3, it's got to be around 180 million in market cap. Depends on how you look at it. Might be a tiny bit rich, maybe, it could be somewhat rich on a pure fundamental basis if you take the negative. But if you take the positive and you assume growth and you assume success, that might be a reasonable market cap. So these are the positives I see from this morning. And also the earnings didn't look that bad to me. Not out of line, particularly considering they raised money. So there were expenses associated with that. The negatives I see, which could be corrected. This first one could be corrected. I don't think they raised enough money. And so either that C2 deal is not as big as we think, or it's not exclusive, or they're not thinking in a way to grab that whole thing, or maybe there's a recession in China. I don't know. But 2.5 million implies they're not going to accelerate their participation in that C2 program. They're happy just with the December deal and a marginal, 2.5 million might buy them. Well, I guess it could buy them half of the 5 million. So maybe that's what they're settling for. I don't know. It wasn't that. Maybe it's not bad, but it's not great either. The other negative, it's not a negative, but it's a caution. I don't see finger squeezing. I've been saying that for a while, and I don't think it's going to squeeze in the short run. I think it could definitely, with a surprise, and if it trades higher, it could happen. But I think to me, it seems under control. I know that contradicts what Ham says. So if I had to choose, if I were you, the listener, I don't know. Ham makes a compelling case, so I leave it to you to choose. But overall, I'm not trying to condemn Finger. I just caution as a non-consultant. So I guess if I were a consultant, I'd be telling you all good things? Is that the implication? Oh, hell, I hate it. I hate it. I just think it looks like Finger's going to take a while still. So anyway, that's how I see it. I like today's action, though. Today's action keeps me interested. Like this gentleman said, I think you have to focus on the opportunities in front of you. Let's just quickly talk about, and for me, I'm going to dismiss, not that it won't work, but I'll be in the audience watching it. Let's talk quickly about gbux. Gbux is cheap if you're playing it for the short squeeze and if you believe the short squeeze is coming. Because a lot of people paid $8 like I did, 7, 6, 5, and here it is at 237. So it's inexpensive compared to what a lot of people paid for. On the other hand, to me, the biggest risk is what they've announced is they're going to raise $212 million for 30% of the company. The market cap is 235 right now. That's going to be really a hard thing to close. If they do close it and they get it closed next week, to me in gbux, the shorts got in trouble very recently. They're raising money from the Middle East, not Wall Street. It's a lot of money. They're not diluting the shares. They're apparently bringing in income. If that all comes to fruition, to my memory, they had 3 million shares short and 1.4 million in the float, something like that. Anyway, whatever the number is, they have a real short position that's large relative to the available float. That could be very exciting. So to me, the risk on gbux is it could go to 50 cents, but just to pick a number, it could go to $50. So, and we should know by Thursday if they get that deal done. So if I had the money, I would have a little position in that. I just don't have the money. But you might. It's hard to borrow, and it could be really exciting. And I might kick myself that I'm not in it. And then I'll talk about DJT quickly. That may have a short squeeze potential in it, but I'm going to show that I'm an old fuddy-duddy, I guess. I think senior Donald Trump, is deferring to his son, Donald Trump, and all the advice of this younger generation, which could work. It could work. But they're buying Bitcoin. And I guess they're raising the money to buy Bitcoin. And there may be other buyers for Bitcoin. But in the broadest of strokes, since I really could have just as easily purchased it in London years ago, but since it was under $1, gosh, I wish I had. I was so seriously studying it and considering it. Since then, I think everybody that can be in the pool is in the pool. ETFs, I guess they could continue to raise money from the public. I guess maybe it's plausible that a central bank would start buying it, or that countries might somehow make it a currency. But in the broadest measure of the trade, maybe not 100% of the trade, but maybe 80% of the trade, almost everybody's in the pool on Bitcoin. That's how I see it. I'm sure I'll be wrong. But I think it may not be the top of the market in Bitcoin, but it's a sign of reaching a top. Anyway, I don't like DJT now after they're doing that. I don't like it. So I'm just telling you that. Of course, I'm telling you that at the low, $21, but that I don't like it. But if you like Bitcoin, maybe I'm just totally wrong. What else? I talked about. All right, let's just talk about Railtown. Railtown is 300,000 shares. The stock closed at 37 cents. On Monday, it was 22 cents. And I am suggesting that this is a stock to focus on. It's not financial advice. I'm not promoting it like Stoney said, but I am calling your attention to it. So I guess in an educational way, I'm recommending you look at it, but it's not financial advice. And I can't stand the idea that for the rest of my life, everything I say, I've got to say that. Otherwise, Jennifer's going to ask, is that financial advice? Ugh. It traded as high as 37.26. And some of the questions I can imagine people would ask right now is it too expensive to buy? Would I be chasing it if I purchased Railtown now? Should I be buying Railtown? Yesterday, I suggested, not as financial advice, to CC Ryder. She had 1,500 shares of Finger. It was trading at 350. I can't remember, anyway, if she sold it yesterday, she would have received $5,400. And no, suggesting that she sell Finger wouldn't really indicate that I'm a consultant for Finger. But since I'm talking about Fingermotion, let me be clear. I am not a consultant for Fingermotion. I have done my best to get the story out there. I've carried interviews, which I've thoroughly enjoyed and been impressed with Martin Shen. I've had lives with him, and I think that might indicate that I have supported Finger, but it can't be financial advice. But does that make me ipso facto a consultant? I just don't know. I'm going to have to seek legal advice. I will spend more money getting legal advice than I have ever gotten by doing anything here, but I'm going to have to do it. But anyway, since I just mentioned Finger, I want to be clear. I am not a consultant with Fingermotion, as I understand the word. But I caution, and that's why I have to get a lawyer. Sharp lawyers, women are a threat to men. Women can accuse anything. Women come into men's environments and they make it so bloody complicated. I'm so disappointed, Jennifer. I'm so disappointed. I was getting excited about what we can do over the next 5 or 6 or 7 years. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to have to pull back and relaunch with legal documents. That's what I'm going to have to do. Anyway, I'll think about it. I'll try to get it off my mind. So the question people might be asking, if I pay 38 cents for Railtown now, am I paying too much or am I chasing it? Well, guess what? In my IRA, my little position, that's what I paid, 38 cents. Well, are you a consultant with Railtown? No, I'm not. So when the stock was 22 cents, were you telling us to buy it because you own it? So you were trying to get us to pump it up so you could sell at break even? No, I'm not doing that either. Are you talking about Railtown because if you can get us to buy it, then you can make money because you already own the stock? Well, yeah, there's a conflict of interest there. And if the stock goes up, I'm going to make money. But no, I'm not doing that. Are you pump and dumping Railtown? No, I'm not pump and dumping Railtown. Where did you find out about Railtown? I'm not going to answer that. Do you have any arrangements with the company or any consulting firms with the company that if it goes up, they're going to pay you money? No, I don't have any of those arrangements. Have I covered all the bases, Jennifer? All right, so let me answer the question. If you pay 38 cents for Railtown, are you chasing it? Are you overpaying? In my judgment, no. However, you could have paid 22 cents, well, probably a little bit more than 22 cents just a week ago. And for the last month and a half, you probably could have bought all you wanted at 25 cents. But here it is at 38 cents. Do I think it could pull back now? Yes, anything's possible. You could get a spike downward. But I'm going to give you my prediction, my sense of it. I own shares. To the best of my ability, I am about to give an educational recommendation. It's not financial advice, but I'm going to try to do that without the fact that I own shares coloring what I'm telling you. God, this is going to be torturous from now on. Number one, we mean nothing in this stock. We are irrelevant in this stock. This stock is trading the way it's trading, not because of us. So I don't think whether we bought or sold it is going to have, I mean, it might make a change in 20 minutes, but it's not going to have a meaningful impact on the price of the shares. So I actually think that if I give you my ideas of where it's going to go, it's not going to change the value of my investment. But just so Jennifer knows, I do own shares. I am not a consultant with Railtown. what's going on with Railtown? Well, I think because I got off track and Djokovic won. Oh my gosh, 7-6 in the last set, but he won. All right. Let's just get the news stories on Railtown. From Yahoo. I'm not going to go through them in detail. I'm just going to read the headlines. And I'll go, okay, 5 months ago, they announced that they raised 2.1 million. 5 months ago, all right, that's the same thing. Then 5 months ago, Railtown announces that they were accepted in the Advanced Micro Devices Partner Network to accelerate AI-driven innovation. Okay. 5 months ago, they announced that Railtown AI was going to present at the AI in BC, British Columbia, demo night. Now, what the significance of this is, Railtown spent about 5 years and probably tens of millions of dollars developing an AI software. I call it software. It's called Large Language Learning Module or something like that. But they developed a software. And they developed it in such a way with people that have done it before that obviously it learns like any artificial intelligence, but it's a closed system. They're not putting it out so anybody else can get in it. They are the first movers. It addresses at least $100 billion market, which is growing, and it solves a problem, and they're the first mover in that solution. So when they went to this AI in British Columbia demo night, this is their showing to the world that we've gone from a R&D company, we now have a product to sell. In fact, they have 4 products. I don't remember the names of all of them. One of them is Conductor. And what that product does, very simplistically, to my understanding, is it allows a company, let's say a nationwide chain real estate company who has used the same software system from 1985 with some add-ons to run their system nationwide. They've had it for 25 years. Something's wrong and they need to fix it. They used to need to go out and hire a team, 20 people, 30 people, pay millions of dollars, maybe tens of millions of dollars. It would take 1 to 2 years to fix if it got fixed at all. Now they can use this Conductor, and apparently you just plug the Conductor in and you have 1 or 2 people, and in a matter of minutes or hours or days, Conductor locates the problem, isolates it, comes up with a solution, and fixes it or installs new software. So they have a tool that turns a huge time sink and capital sink into an elegant solution that improves the company's software, and it's done for that's a real advancement in a tool. So that's what they went to present that 5 months ago. Then 5 months ago, Railtown AI announces that they joined AI Partnerships Corporation affiliate network 5 months ago. So they went to this apparently best in class, although there seems to be another one recently, but a best in class AI conference, and they ran into the AI Partnerships Corporate Affiliate Network 5 months ago. Now, this network, when you read about it, and you can go read about it, the network is kind of a VC type network. The purpose is to bring 162 or so AI companies together to cross-sell their products, to work together to build their ability to help each other out. And I hate the word, to create synergy. I hate that word. But that's what it was designed for. And as one of their goals is, as the 160 companies join this network, the goal is to roll up the best and the brightest into the mothership AI Partnerships Corporation Affiliate Network. So that's pretty exciting to join that network. They're going to automatically get access to as many as 160 companies' customers for their conductor and other AI products, which are proprietary and are closed. So anyone who uses it, they got to pay them. So it's very exciting. Well, then 3 months ago, Railtown AI Technologies announces a memorandum of understanding. So what does the computer do? The shorts, the criminals. They start selling, the computer starts selling stock. They see memorandum of understanding. Now, Jennifer will say, well, the reason this stock is going down is they paid a consultant. But Jennifer also knows what they did to MMTLP. She knows that. So that's what happens here. The sellers come out in force on any stock when it says MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. They just did it to gbux. They want to destroy the contract to acquire. But anyway, in this case, 3 months ago, AI Technologies announces an MOU to acquire AI Partnerships Corp. Well, the puny plan of the criminals to try to sell it down, that has not scared anybody at Railtown AI Technologies. And you could have debated my opinion on that when the stock went to 22 cents last Monday, and I told you this is just I didn't use the word, but it was an anomaly because Canada was closed for a bank holiday and it was cheap. Nothing's changed. But you might have argued at that point, well, if you're right, why is the stock down? Well, I think the stock price is telling you that this memorandum of understanding is, I don't know what word to use, is coming to completion, is going to be executed, has been finalized, or is about to be, because something is happening with the stock price that means something about this. My point is, just to put it baldly, if this memorandum of understanding broke apart, the stock would be down. It's not. That's as simple as my analysis is. So 3 months ago, Railtown announces its intent to acquire AI Partnerships Corp. Well, nothing's been said relative to this since. I looked it up. It takes Canada regulators 4 weeks to approve something like this, but it's been 3 months. The stock's starting to go up. What does that mean to me? It means to me in June, we're probably going to hear that that deal or something similar to that deal is finalized. What does that mean further? Just think through Canada, which might, I'm not trying to make a political comment, but I'm trying to point out the relative size. It might become the 51st state of the United States. The population of Canada would probably rank it maybe third in electoral college votes. It's not a huge country in terms of populations, and the financial market is nothing in size compared to ours. So, and I'm not picking on it. I'm just saying that when Canaccord Genuity is your book runner, they're one of the biggest. They also work with the shorts, but they have in their client base everybody that matters in Canada. So they are the ones organizing this acquisition. That means they're unable to call any of their clients, family offices, mutual funds, institutions, retail, whales. They can't call any of them and tell them to buy Railtown. So an entire retail institutional sales force is precluded from telling their clients to buy Railtown. And it's some of the biggest sources of money in Canada. Okay, number one. Number two, anybody at Railtown, all the investors, all the senior people, all the whales in Railtown, they can't buy Railtown because they know about the deal. And the deal hasn't been finalized. And if they were to buy, they would be trading on inside information. They'd be front running. They'd be breaking all sorts of securities laws. So they can't buy. And then finally, the 160 companies and all the principals, and there'll be, CEOs and investors that are equal among equals, more equal. If they're involved, they can't buy. They're the company being purchased. So they can't buy any shares. So you've got an entire buyer's strike going on in Canada involuntarily. By the way, Jennifer, I am not a consultant at AI Technologies either. I'm not a consultant at AI Partnerships Corporation affiliate network either, just so you know. I'm not a consultant with Canaccord Genuity either. So anyway, all this buying power is on strike. So the stock went down to 22 cents last week. It's back to 38 cents, but it's not at its high. So then 8 days ago, they launched something important. And then 7 days ago, they announced they were going to present at, and they did, at what apparently is even more important AI conference called Upper Bound. And they're going to present one of their products called Langtrax. And anyway, that was May 20 through May 23rd. That's all the news. So what do I think about Railtown at 37 cents, 38 cents, I still think it's cheap. Obviously, you could have purchased it 10 cents cheaper last week, but in a prediction, not a promise, I think as soon as next week, it's going to cost you $1 more. It might take 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It might take till July. But I'm going to be bold and tell you that in June, you might have to pay $1.50 for it. And I'll tell you that's a good price. Because I think what's happening at Railtown is big. And I'm just basing it on extrapolating from public documents, some things I've seen on Twitter, what the IR person, Rebecca Kurzweil, put out. And my understanding of what happens to a software company when it moves from R&D to production. I just saw a text message. It's called a revaluation. And I think it's an S curve. And I think Railtown is going to be it's going to leap up the revaluation curve. And my prediction, which I've stuck by, is I think the stock will go to $3.50. Will it be, the first time they make an announcement, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time? I don't know. What my premise is as soon as that restriction, as soon as they make whatever announcement they need to make, that the restriction on all that buying out of Canada is lifted, I think the stock will be at $3.50. I can't tell you exactly where that'll be, but so I think if you have any inclination to own Railtown, I really think you should look at it tomorrow to buy it. I showed Cece an idea yesterday if she sold her Fingermotion, and I wasn't being negative on Fingermotion. She had 1,500 shares. She's not going to change the price of Fingermotion, not when they have 1.5 million shares trading a day. But I suggested she could buy 1,000 Nixie and 10,000 Railtown. I think for that to happen now, she might need, maybe $5,800. So selling Finger here, she has to put up some cash. But what I want to, her goal, Cece's goal, was to try to make $50,000 on the trade. And I think, which is very odd, Jennifer, that I would suggest considering selling Finger to go in a different stock. If I'm a consultant for Finger, that would be an odd thing for me to say, but I'm just trying to call it on a risk-reward basis how I see it. I think Finger, yesterday, I think Finger was vulnerable to a pullback. Today, I think Finger this might be the level it stays. Talking about Finger again, I think Finger needs to raise more money. If Finger doesn't raise more money, it may not happen right away, but I think Finger might drift lower. I think Finger needs some more oomph. But anyway, let's get back to Railtown. I was talking to CC yesterday, and I said that I thought Railtown, 10,000 shares of Railtown could go to $3.5, $4. Well, that you can do the arithmetic. That would be $35,000. And Nixie, it could go to $15, and some people are saying it can go to 20. I think Nixie is more likely. Well, we don't know. We'll find out. But I think Nixie could just go to $6, or it goes to 8, or it goes to 10. So we'll talk about Nixie in a second. I'm reasonably comfortable saying that Nixie might go to 10. So if Nixie were to go to 10 and Railtown were to go to 35, CC would have $45,000. But the thing I want to point out, Nixie could do better. But if Nixie moved first, which I don't know, the closer we get to June, Railtown looks like it's going to start to move. But Nixie could start anytime too. But if Nixie did, I don't know, if it went to 6 first and Rail's at 50 cents, you know, maybe you sell Nixie and come buy more Rail. So there's some optionality there to do. But the thing I don't know if CC's still listening, but the thing I want to emphasize to CC is I don't think Railtown stops at 350. I think what I really want to say about Railtown, and it's such a hard concept to get across, is this period in Railtown's time frame is the R&D period, and you know it keeps going up and down, but people put money in, and it's a nightmare. Now they're selling their product, and they're going up the valuation curve. And right now, all those buyers can't buy. Right now, you're at 38 cents. I think it leaps up this valuation curve as soon as those people can buy. And I've predicted 350. There's nothing magic about that. But at 350, that becomes the starting point, CC. That becomes where they start telling their story. They start saying, well, we've got this contractor, we've merged in this company, or we've hired this CEO, or we've invented a spaceship that can go to Venus. Whatever the story is they're telling, it starts from 350. So I'm not saying that Railtown's going to end at 350. It can go higher, and it can happen fairly quickly. So I was suggesting to CC yesterday that by buying those 2 shares temporarily, she could get to her 50,000. And amazingly, I was kind of paraphrasing Lou. You do that, and you come back to Fingermotion. I still think she can still do it. I just think she needs now to put cash into it to get my ratio. If CC does not want to put cash in, I think I would just focus on owning 10,000 shares of Railtown now. I still think Nixie's going to be huge, but if you had to just do one, just imagine what 10,000 shares at $5 does, or $10 does. That's, it's pretty exciting. And I think those kind of numbers are possible. I don't know how, over what time frame. We'll find that out as news comes out. But to answer the question I posed, Railtown is still cheap. In my judgment, Railtown at 38, 40, 50, even 60 cents is going to give you a great return, potentially. It's not financial advice. They are Predictions, not promises. Anything can happen. These are highly speculative stocks. Lord, Jennifer. Then let's talk about Nixie. Nixie closed at $1.94. It went down to $1.90. Nixie's volume is 170,000. And it looks dead, right? It looks like, oh, nobody's interested. Well, I'm not going to read the news stories, but I'm just going to recall a few things to you. Nixie is an offshoot of way back when a company called Wayland converted into a company called Logic, and Logic split in essence into North America and Southeast Asia, basically. And the Logic part bought this company called Lovera. Actually, yeah, before the split, Logic, oh God, spun off a company called Lovera, which became GoLogic. And this is a long time ago. And so GoLogic was out of Southeast Asia. Anyway, GoLogic split into two, and I own shares of GoLogic, I own shares of Logic, I own shares of Collective Audience. That's it. But anyway, recruiter.com was a shell, and this part of GoLogic was going to reverse merge into recruiter.com. Well, in that whole process, and I think it's very discouraging to Logic shareholders, because I think Brent abandoned Logic, or he just made a boneheaded. I don't think it was his fault that they used Aubrey advisors, but at the end of the day, I think he sold Logic, or allowed Logic to reverse merge a company called Medical. Anyway, I think he just helped Aubrey steal the market cap, Aubrey's client, steal the market cap of Logic. But anyway, I don't want to get lost in that. I'm talking about GoLogic, which is still out there, doesn't trade. But that the engine of GoLogic was meant to be this part was reverse merged into recruiter.com, and then recruiter.com was going to trade. Well, somehow in all the interactions, that all got unwound, or it didn't happen, and they formed a company out of recruiter.com called Nixie Inc. And Nixie Inc. purchased as its start a company called Just Got to Have It. And Just Got to Have It reportedly did 10 million last year with a 40% market margin. But it's a warehouse sort of online for every stupid store you can think of, stores that sell, little gift things that say a house is a home, or whatever. It's just all crap that nobody would buy. But anyway, it works. It works in America, and it's nice. But as they were doing that, and this is the part that frustrates me, I think a lot of Brent's skills, Brent's sons, skills, hard work, contacts, investment banking relationships. I think Brent really worked hard and is creating something in Nixie that's going to make a lot of money for people. They started bringing other companies into Nixie, and I don't know how many or whatever, but it's all been announced what they're trying to do. And so Nixie last month did 1.3 million in revenue, and they announced that in May, in the first roughly a week, they did 800,000. And they're projecting what kind of revenue they're going to do every month and as they exit the year. So Nixie is sitting here, and they made some announcements that they need to follow through on as well, just like Railtown. But Nixie is sitting here with 18 million shares. They have a market cap of 40 million, and they just have a new CEO. They just announced. And it looks like they're going to do the same, at the minimum, they're going to do the same revenue that, for example, Fingermotion is doing. Finger's trading at 175 million market cap. So what's the risk on Nixie? I don't think there's very much risk to the downside. And I think you're on the verge in June of getting activity in Nixie. In the last two times Nixie went, one time it ran to 12 pre-market, ran to 8 in the market on almost 60 million shares volume. And then the next time, which I think was maybe in March, I mean, you can look it up, it did a lot of volume. I think it was 40 million shares, and went something like $6, a little over $6. And it stopped. I don't know why. I do know why it happened in the first time, but let's not focus on that. So now's the third time, maybe. And so my suggestion with the Nixie is I think it's imminent. Same reason it is with Railtown. They owe us news. June is here. But I think Nixie, if I'm right, and starts trading soon, trading with this kind of volume again, it goes to 6. So that's a triple. If it can break 650, I think it can go 8, 10, 12. So that's 5x. And if it breaks out of that, it could go to 20 or 25. I think that's a lower risk target. And anyway, I think Nixie looks great. It has immediacy. I don't think there's much risk to the downside, and there's a powerful potential move coming. So these are the two stocks that, and I'm Jennifer, I'm not a consultant with Nixie either, but these are the two stocks that I think can, and I haven't received anything from Nixie. I think I already said that on Railtown. But I haven't received anything from Railtown. I own Nixie. I own Railtown. They're not large positions. They're almost the entirety of what I own, minus a little stub, is in my IRA. It's in my IRA. So do I have a conflict of interest, Jennifer? Possibly, but you can argue both sides. If you're giving people ideas and you don't own it. You probably don't know it. You probably aren't living it. You're probably not, scheming in your own mind and doodling on a pad of paper. Where is it going to go in price? What am I going to do? Da, 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 da. You're not intimately committed to that price action. So I would argue it might be better if you're dealing with somebody that owns the stock and really knows it. But you can argue both sides. So I disclose it to you, Jennifer. I own Nixie. I paid more for it. I think I paid an average of 260 or 280 or 255 or something. If you really want me to find the price I paid, can I disclose that to you later? I can disclose it now. I realized I can find it now. Nixie. My average price in Nixie is okay, my average price, I can't see it. Why isn't it showing it to me? Cost. It doesn't tell me, so I have to calculate it. All right, I'll calculate it. Oh, disclosure, Jennifer. It's a pain in the butt, but I guess it's all right. Oh, there. It says it here, my cost basis. Oh, I'm wrong. My cost basis on this stub amount is 159. I paid 159. Are you out of your mind? I might be way off on my cost bases. Now this isn't telling me. What, I don't own any? Is that the point? I don't own any? This is very strange. Oh, gosh. How do I fix this? Close. Close. All right, let me see if I can calculate this one. This is my main position. Cost for, okay. Okay, so if I go menu, orders. Okay, let me divide that out. Hey, it looks like I must have averaged down or something because my cost basis is less than I thought. 166. So I guess I'm in the green on Nixie then. So does that affect, Jennifer, does that affect my recommendation? I'm just pumping it. I don't know. You can decide. I don't feel like I am, but I am disclosing I'm in the profit on my paltry position that's not going to make it move one way or the other. Okay. So I talked about Nixie. I talked about all the stocks. All right. What else did I want to tell you? I did want to talk about a few of these mining stocks, but I think I'm going to skip that until I get advice on how I can proceed. I don't need to open up any other can of worms. Let me just see if anything is happening in the world before I sign off. It might be a while before we talk again. I'm not making an ultimatum. I really think I need to get legal advice on how to disclose. I think the core of Jennifer's question, although I think she's hiding behind confusion, she's too smart for that. I think the core of her question is correct. I think disclosure, I'm always for disclosure, always for disclosure. And the only thing is I've got to go back for 4 years and recreate everything. And I also think I need to get a lawyer to tell me how to do it. I really do. It's not, particularly with the intensity, the repetitiveness of that question today, it's not something for me to take lightly. All right. Let's see if there's any. Nothing. No, there's nothing really all that dramatic. Let me just see here. There was something, and if it's wow. There was something possibly worth talking about. Let me see. All right, I'll finish on this. If there's something to, it's not too long. On the other hand, I might not. Yeah, that's not the one I wanted to do anyway. This, yeah, let me see. Yeah, I'm not going to. It's Bitcoin. I'm not interested. Platinum. Let me see if there's anything here on platinum. Nope. Nope. I don't know. I don't have anything immediately on platinum. But anyway, it's 5:39. Let me see how Djokovic is standing at. All right, he's in sixth still. Yannick wins, even though he cheated. So I'm going to leave it there. I really feel uncomfortable going forward, and I've got to take Jennifer's questions and her intensity, and frankly, her sort of unbelievable statement that she just doesn't understand it. It's unbelievable to me anyway. She's too smart. I've got to take it seriously. She's not the only person that's asked me. And even at a minimum, I need like a blanket thing that says something. So I can't go naked anymore. I'm gonna have to protect myself. And I guess that'll be best for everybody, but I don't know how to do it. I'll think about it. Maybe I can come up with something that I'm comfortable with without going to an attorney, but I'm going to sleep on it. I'll wake up and I'll make my decision. But if I don't come on for a while, that's why. If I do come on, lucky you. The Dodgers are trading for a new closer. Doesn't look like much of a trade. It's a new closer. AJ Smith-Shawyer is on the 15-day injured list. All right, I'm going to sign off. I hope I see you tomorrow, but I'm really inclined to stop doing this until I get a disclosure statement that allows me either to fully answer everything Jennifer wants to know or allows me to go forward saying, read my disclosure statement. I don't know how to address that, but I've got to come up with something. It's too risky otherwise, so I'm sorry about that. I'll see how I feel tomorrow morning. Maybe some solution will come to my head. But Fingermotion went up to $5. People have lost money having it come down. I don't feel in the slightest that I was any part of that. On the other hand, I think I've been a big part of Finger for a long time, and I have stood by with him and worked with him, so I'm not walking away from that either. So Yeah, I think I've got some work to do. I just don't have the money to hire an attorney, but I've got to work it through. And I think it's important for me to have a disclosure statement, and it may be important to fully disclose everything down to, uh, you know, gifts I buy, thing. I don't know. Full disclosure is the best sunlight on anything, and it keeps away misunderstandings. But sometimes, I'm not a solitary person either. I don't know. I've just got to get legal help on how to write a disclosure, what I need to disclose, how to disclose it, how to protect myself from Jennifer's attorneys or some other person's attorneys that comes on and says this was a pump and dump, and it's oh God, it's just so endless. But that's the world we live in. We're in a litigious society, and I don't have the money to fight a legal battle. So, Jennifer, I appreciate the question, and I appreciate essentially the call to action. So I appreciate everybody listening today. I don't know that I'm going to be on. I can't think of the solution. I just can't. I don't have an attorney to talk with. And I don't think any attorney that I hire is going to say that it makes any sense. You're doing lives and you're not being paid to do it. Why do you take the risk? And you know what? It's a good question. I don't have an answer. I do not have an answer. But I'm certain that when something's called to your attention, if you continue without adjusting for it, then that's not so good. So I have to come up with a disclosure methodology, and I don't know who to ask. I really don't. I'll figure it out. I'll come up with something, but it might take a while. It could take a while. And I might just decide not to do this anymore in this way. I mean, it'd be a lot easier if I just did interviews and underneath it disclosed. And if a CEO paid me for an interview, I just write down below, I got paid for this interview, It's tough. I do appreciate the question, Jennifer. I just don't know how to. I'm flummoxed. I don't know how to handle it. I guess that's as direct as I can be. And I'll get it sorted, but it might not be right away. So I might be off the air for quite a while. We'll see. Or I'll come up with some statement that I can read each time I come on. Oh God. Anyway, it's for the best. Anyway, peace to everyone. I wish everyone a good night. Ciao.